Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the internet and of YouTube. Skijaramaz here, and I just thought I'd take a little bit to go over all of the pictures I took at and going to and from Everfree Northwest this year. I took a lot of pictures over the 3 days of the convention, even though I showed up late for day one because I'm an idiot. So, yeah, I guess might as well get started. This is gonna be kind of a stream of consciousness, no pre-scripting, so keep that in mind. These first pictures that I'm showing you are, of course, the vast majority of my day one pictures are of the trip to Everfree Northwest. Here you can see some really weird, I guess, gnome things. I forget exactly where these things were, but they were kind of interesting on the way to Everfree Northwest. I took them on the bus. All of my travel trip shots were taken on the bus. So, I don't know. I thought they were kind of cool. I forget where they were, what town it was in, so if anyone knows, do feel free to notify me because I am genuinely curious about these things. But after that, we got on the ferry to go the rest of the way to Seattle, and excuse me. The ferry would take us to Edmond, or something. It's Edmond, something like that. And going across the water, I do enjoy me large bodies of water, so I took my camera and took a few pictures. I do suppose I should apologize. My camera is absolute ass, so I do apologize that 2 of these pictures have kind of a weird red tint, while the third one is more of a lovely blue. Well, not lovely, it's kind of a desaturated, washed out blue because there were clouds in the sky. After the water, we got back onto dry land, obviously, and I really started taking more pictures as we got into Seattle proper. And especially once I was like among the skyscrapers. In Port Angeles, where I live, buildings are short. And so once we finally got to the skyscrapers, I was more than happy to just kind of ogle them from the safety of the inside of the bus and my seat. So I did that, and there's a lot of really nifty shots here, including shots of the enormous port and all kinds of other stuff, and just some pretty lots. There is one thing that I kind of noticed in Seattle, though. There are points where if you look to the left, you'll see a very lovely park, and then you look to the right, and you see a really seedy and shady-looking alley. It's kind of a weird sort of contrast that's just across the street. Kind of an interesting thing. Now, eventually, I finally made it to Everfree Northwest towards the end of the day, 5 or 6 p.m. or so. First thing I bumped into was someone in this incredible Tantabus costume. I love it, I love it, I love it. It was amazing to look at. First picture I took. I don't really have much comment to give on it because whoever was wearing it didn't say anything. They were kind of a silent nightmare, which is appropriate, I suppose. I wound up attending that one event where a whole bunch of different Brony musicians gathered together on stage, one at a time. I mostly went there for Everfree Brony, because I have a certain soft spot for a lot of his music. And I wound up leaving that particular panel after that, but it was a lot of fun. And I actually wound up going there to that particular thing with Brittany Ackerman, whose picture I'll put up now. She took this picture, hence why the color correction isn't garbage, but also hence why half the camera doesn't work. I'm kind of just zipping in on the left there. I've made better faces. To cap off that first day, before I went to bed and had dinner and all that, I actually met Applegeek, a reactor who I actually watch relatively frequently. Whether or not his reactions are legit or exaggerated, I don't care. They're fun all the same. Just funny, energetic. In fact, even if they are exaggerated, that's part of the fun for me. Anyways, that concluded day 1. Day 2 was really where the con sort of got started for me. This first picture is of a large line going to the Saturday morning cartoons panel, which I thought was going to be showing of Saturday's episode, which was the Breakup Breakdown. Turns out I was wrong about that. It was actually showing an episode of MLP, Stranger Than Fan Fiction, alongside Dance Magic with some of the people who worked on those, giving their thoughts and commentary on it. And that was kind of cool and kind of insightful, and there was a lot of playful banter. You can tell that this team really works well together. with the way they were snarking at each other without end, and none of them got offended. After that, I wound up going to the vendor's hall for my first batch of merch, and you can see that in this picture, the derpy shirt that I am actually wearing as I'm recording this, an absolutely adorable Rainbow Dash in a ball pit picture, and Spike being a gigantic dragon with Twilight looking sad and Celestia watching from a distance. Beautiful artwork. And then I found these guys, and this is actually kind of cool because these guys, yeah, here's a fun fact. The armor on that guy in the center, that's actual armor. That's actual chainmail. That's actual steel. That would actually protect you if someone decided they wanted to thump you. I was very impressed by that. Very cool. Warrior of Sunlight indeed. After that, I went to a panel called The Cake is a Lie, where all the various male voice actors for MLP, a lot of them anyway, showed up to talk about their roles in the show and what it was like and the processes and whatnot, and give some interesting insight and thoughts, and things sort of got opened up to questions. And that guy there with the gold suit, I believe that was Silver Quill. Oh my god, was that sparkly! Pretty sure I'm still seeing spots. I even got to ask Chris Britton, the guy who played Star Swirl the Bearded, if I'm remembering right, if he could improvise Star Swirl the Bearded, being absolutely baffled by the mere concept of a hayburger. He understandably said no. I don't begrudge him, he had a good reason, but still. After that, I found this incredible Star Swirl the Bearded, absolutely amazing cosplay. And this person's cosplay, main reason I took the picture was because of those wings. Those wings are fantastic. Whoever you are, if you ever see this, I can just say this again, excellent job on those wings. Next up, we have a couple of shots of the view from my bedroom. I was on the 9th floor, so I had a very nice room and a very nice view. Interesting fact about being so high up, I didn't really consider this before, but you kind of start to lose all sense of scale when you're high up, looking down on things you recognize, and you know their scale, but like, you kind of lose all sense of scale. It's a very weird feeling. After that, I went to a psychology panel, and it was very interesting. An actual licensed psychologist was there to sort of give us some insight into why we identify with certain characters the way we do, why we're compelled to cosplay as them, or buy plushies of them, or watch so much of their episodes more often. There was one point here, I'm very fondly, I remember this moment fondly, where one person, I forget who, I don't think they're in this shot, but they were talking about how they had started identifying more with Ember, because they had to do a music video of Ember, and they hadn't liked Ember at first. But after making music about Ember and making the video and watching all the episodes with Ember in them so that he could be properly informed about Ember, apparently he started to become more... He identified better with Ember after a while, is what I'm trying to say. And the part that I'm fond of is from the back. As soon as he said that after watching all those episodes with Ember, he went from disliking her to liking her, you hear me shouting from the back, "That's called Stockholm Syndrome." It was a lot funnier in the moment because no one was expecting it. There was no build-up, but it worked perfectly, and the whole room burst out laughing. And considering a lot of people say that I would either be, if I had to associate with an element, it would either be laughter or loyalty or both. I prefer to think both. The whole room burst out laughing from that snarky remark, and I took great pride in my ability to do that. It was fan-fucking-tastic. Anyways, moving right along, we then had this person in an awesome full fursuit Gilda costume. A dad was taking a picture of this with their kid there. You can kind of see them just under Gilda's chin. I also took a picture from the side just because it looked cool. Full bodysuits, you don't see that very often, I don't think. There was also this absolutely beautiful Fluttershy cosplay. I loved it a lot. Very pretty, very well done. Whoever you are, kudos to you. You did a fantastic job. After that, oh no, I remember this one. See, I'm going through these live as I'm recording this, so. Okay, this was the Ask the Main Six and Spike panel, in which a bunch of, I thought it was going to be the voice actors, but no, it turns out it was a bunch of people who were decent to great at impressions. Whoever did the Fluttershy impression was goddamn godsend. They all came up and started being in character, pretending to be the Main Six, taking questions from a human audience. And there was a lot of crazy hilarity, like leading questions, weird questions, And at one point, even though they're supposed to be dead, Applejack's parents walked in and caused this whole Jerry Springer-esque scene of confusion, and it was just glorious. I loved it. I loved it so much. It was a beautiful thing, a beautiful event. I loved it to death. After that, I found this person on my way to the next panel I was attending, and the main reason I took this picture was, for one thing, it was just a nice cosplay, but also that helmet was also apparently legitimate steel for the most part. Like, that would actually protect you if you got thunked. So kudos to you for going that extra mile. And the last picture I took on day 2 was of this guy in a Kisuke Urahara hat. I'm a fan of Bleach, and so is my brother, and so I just thought this would be a cool thing to snip and have as a memory. I know my brother likes Bleach, so I figured I'll probably link this to him with a timestamp, and he'll probably get a kick out of it. Excuse me. So that was day 2. And then we come to day 3. The first panel I went to on day 3 was the Vexed by Villains panel, I believe it was called. A panel about... Actually, no, this wasn't the Vexed by Villains panel. No, that was the previous day. No, this was the world-building panel. The panel about making worlds compelling in your alternate universe, or even not alternate world stories. And a bunch of experienced authors from the community came up, including the author of The Enchanted Library, which I've been meaning to read in my spare time. I'll probably get to that now. But, they all talked about it. They went over what they thought worked as good elements and certain traps to try and avoid. And of course, they all reiterated that same point: get an editor. I don't have an editor. I should probably get an editor, but it needs to be someone I know. So, that's a topic for a whole other time, though. We're looking at pictures right now, so. But that was a very cool and very informative panel. After that, I went to the Legends of Equestria panel, the panel talking about the MLP MMO. They showed off some gameplay, some new features, gave some interesting insights into how things worked behind the scenes and how the team communicated, and recent updates, and the fact that they will before long be implementing crafting systems. I was happy to learn that that was a thing they were doing. It was crafting's never really been my thing in MMOs, but as this isn't like a full-blown go on adventures 24/7 MMO. It also has like more of a catering to all sorts of playstyles, including just sitting around in a house and role-playing with your buddies. I was okay with it. Let's see. Then I went to a panel that had writers and directors from the show and also Equestria Girls, including GM Burrow, who is just amazing. I like a lot of the stuff she does, and considering all the chapter books she's done, she has mad respect from me. And they gave some interesting insight and shared experiences of working on the show, and apparently, especially with like the Equestria Girls shorts, it is an absolutely chaotic mess. And it also explains why a lot of the supplementary material, like the comics or the Journal of the Two Sisters book, why so many of those things are actually in conflict lore-wise with the show, because these guys, the writers and directors, aren't actually told by Hasbro that these supplementary materials are a thing that they might want to pay attention to more often than not. So with the Journal of the Two Sisters, supposedly Luna and Celestia were there when the Tree of Harmony began to grow or something like that. And they found it when they were fillies, but in the show, they weren't there when it was planted, and they found it when they were adults when Discord was causing mayhem and mischief. So at this point, I'm pretty much inclined to not acknowledge any of the things that aren't the show or Equestria Girls, just on the grounds that they have a bad tendency of conflicting, and so, yeah, I just keep my mind focused on the actually animated portion of things. That's where the canon seems to be. After that, I took a few pictures of the closing ceremonies, where all of the people who were still at the con or knew that that was a thing that was happening showed up in the big ballroom, gala room, whatever the hell you want to call it, sat down. There were some awesome closing ceremonies, some announcements, and one last auctioned off item from the charity auction that I wound up not going to, the Storm King's staff, which wound up selling for $1,000. Apparently, Everfree Northwest had a good a lot of people attended this year, like over 2,000 people, maybe more. I'm not even sure of the number. It was a lot. And there was also, of course, a really large number raised for the charity with one charity or another. I forget the name. It had to do with autism, and because I have Asperger's, I am totally fine with that. Yeah, I took a few pictures. I even ended up getting a snip at the back of Apple Geek's head before I realized he was Apple Geek. I was just trying to get pictures of all the people that were there because it was jam-packed. I wound up having to sit in the back. But yeah, and after that, I just, of course, took some pictures out the side of the bus on the way back home. Interestingly enough, I almost missed my bus. I was concerned, but I managed to make it, no problems whatsoever, and finally made it all the way back to my home well after the sun had set. And the last pictures I took before it became too dark for my camera to set were some pictures of the sun setting over the water as I was going across, I believe it was Puget Sound. Yes, Puget Sound. And, I mean, it seems like a symbolically fitting picture to end off this video on because Everfree Northwest ended that day. Let the last picture be the end of the day. Why not? Two things came to a close. Just seems fitting. So that has been my very improvised, long-winded commentary on my experience at Everfree Northwest, accompanied by pictures. I do hope you enjoyed this video. It was, I don't know how fun the editing process is going to be. I haven't actually started that as of the recording of this dialogue, but I am going to assume that it is going to be fun. Maybe. I hope. I don't know. I just hope you guys enjoy it because I know I enjoyed going to Everfree, and I'm glad that I get to share some of the experience through these pictures and my memories. So I'm going to go ahead and stop rambling now. I'm not really saying anything substantial. All right. Thanks for tuning in, ladies and gents. See you all next time. Keep listening. Bye.